This has never happened in my life. We're sitting at the stairway to heaven and we're just talking. We're on a high, man. I mean, we just killed Crunk. I mean, only a few days in, got plenty of time, no point in panicking. Look up and Jason goes, oh my gosh, look at that giant.
That's a giant.
A deer walks around the corner and literally both of us, I mean, our jaws hit the drawer. An absolute giant.
Whoa. I have no clue what deer that is. That's a giant.
It was a neighbor's deer. It's not our deer. Don't know who he is.
It's probably one of the biggest deer that I've ever seen on the hoof. And we were literally just sitting here looking at this Hunt Terra map, trying to figure out where to go in, because we now have an absolute giant running around on this farm.
So every year, when it becomes that first magical day of November, I know where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be in Kansas if I got a deer tag, and I'm gonna be swinging with everything I've got in me to kill one of our target bucks.
Well, I have hunted with Eric for years. And every time I film him, if he raises his bow or his gun, I pretty much know that it's gonna be a dead deer. This year was a little different.
Wow, that's all I can say about this episode. You know, usually when I'm in a tree with Eric and I'm behind the camera, he's in front of it, I don't worry about him making the shot or making it happen. But this trip was completely opposite because he struggled. I don't know what happened or why, but this was a tough hunt for Eric.
If you would have told me before I left on this trip that I was about to make the number of mistakes, mental mistakes that I was about to make, the rookie mistakes, I would have just stayed at home in Virginia. Either that or I'd have gotten a tree behind Jason and Chris and called it good for the year, because mentally I absolutely blew it.
It is about 9 o'clock, and what I like to do is I like to let deer do their things in the morning, and about 9 o'clock when I stop seeing deer on their feet, I love this rattle bag because it's not super overpowering loud, and we're in here in a tight thicket, so if there's any bucks within 100 yards and they hear this, maybe we can get them up on their feet and make them come to us. So first time I rattled this year in Kansas. Right there, Jason, right there. That was super cool. That's what I was talking about. 9 o'clock in the morning, you know, when you're in tight security cover like this, I like these little rattle bags because it's just not overpowering. It wasn't 20 seconds of me talking about it. Here comes this junk buck, and right behind him was one of our superstar 3-year-olds. He gave me a 21-yard shot right there.
First morning I get to hunt, we've got a stiff west wind, super cold, high pressure, based off of everything we got going on, intel from the cameras, all of our deer. For whatever reason this year, the cedar hump is where it's happening. It's where it's at. It's the center of the wheel. And you know, we knew when we climbed up in the tree that morning it was going to be a good morning, but just how good, we had no idea what we were in for.
Here he comes. Here he comes. I have no shot, dude.
Literally, it was one of those mornings that you dream of. It was buck after buck after buck. It was like Chris coined that phrase, buck parade. I mean, it was on, like 15 bucks in.
I've never seen this much rut activity, and it is unbelievable what we saw this morning.
I can't get a shot.
And we were just taking in the show.
All of a sudden, we see a deer to our right. We know it's a big deer. We know it's a mature deer. We don't know exactly which one it is.
And I call to him because, you know, Kansas bucks tend to be a lot less pressured, especially from bow hunters. First week of November, you give me a call on a mature buck, and I'm gonna call to him, and, you know, over half the time he's gonna come. Sure enough, called to him, and man, here he came on a string.
Right there, Jay. Oh, that's a good buck right there. He's gonna come right up this ditch. Man, that's an old buck we know. Man, that deer's like 6 or 7.
Buck is a buck we don't know, but you can clearly tell this deer is, this deer is every bit of, 7, 8 years old, maybe older, 20, 22 inches wide, has no time length whatsoever, big mass. I didn't care. This was an ancient deer, a trophy in anybody's book, and I was like, I'm gonna let this bow eat. No doubt in my mind, I was like, when that deer come up in there, I was like, well, I'm gonna shoot this deer and I'm gonna be done my first morning.
He's coming right up there. I ain't got no shot. Meh.
Eric hits the release right over his back.
I don't know what to tell you. It sailed it right over his back. This was chip shot, an easy shot. For goodness sake, I should be able to hold my bow sideways, settle that pin, and kill that deer at that distance. And I had ranged a cedar behind where the deer was standing. It was like 32 yards. Well, I was so mentally not into the game that morning that this deer, as he was coming up through there, I like to hit my range before they get to where they're at, so I have, some kind of an idea, that way I can relax, get everything settled. I just shot the wrong pin. 100% on me. This show is all about, we tell you like it is. We tell the stories, it's real. We want you to learn from it. Hey, if you can learn from me, maybe I'll save you a heartache of a miss next year.
Make sure you subscribe and like the page. On top of that, make sure you click the little notification bell. That way you'll be one of the first ones to know when a new video drops.
Eric's on the cedar hump. It's a 27-yard shot. It's a chip shot for him, most people. And he misses. The only other time I can remember him missing an easy shot like that was also on the cedar hump. The Big 10 came in, Eric shoots, right over his back. I said, what pin did you shoot? And he said, second. And I said, why?
Just got out of the stand. I'm gonna go over and get my arrow. But this cedar thicket is absolutely tore all to pieces with rubs, and there's scrapes everywhere. But what I like to do is I like to carry this scrape fix with me, and every time I find scrapes, get out of here, and I'm gonna come swing again in the morning. Years ago, I missed a big deer right there at 32 yards. This morning, I missed at 34. So one or two things are gonna happen the next time. Either I'm gonna kill one, or if I miss again, I ain't never hunting this tree again. It's a killing tree, but I ain't doing no killing. Chris has killed everything he's ever shot at in here, but I missed it. So anyways, that was my fault. We're getting out of here. We'll get in this ditch, get out of here, come back. Next couple of days, kill one in here. We should. Unless they start locking windows, and then we may be in trouble.
We're on the way in to recover my deer. We're sitting in the truck. We're talking. Eric's got the camera, and I look up, and there is an absolute giant that is a stranger standing right in front of us at like 25 yards, and we have no clue who this deer is.
That's a giant.
We got his deer, got out there. We knew without a shadow of a doubt, if we went back and hunted the Stairway to Heaven that night, which we had the right wind, that doe was gonna come right back across that little wheat food plot and go right back to the neighbors where she came from. But both of us knew it was gonna happen. We knew we were gonna see that deer that night.
You can see there's a 2-year-old standing in my truck tracks from this morning, and that giant went in that buck was with them. I feel like that doe is one of our home does. I'm hoping that he's got her pinned right here in this corner. The way that they were running her, you have to think she just is coming in, so that's 2 days. Me and Jason's gonna make circles around this little hole right here.
I know the heartbeat of this farm. I know how it works. And we were both sitting there quiet as a mouse. And Jason, you know, we both knew that that deer was gonna show up at night. And sure enough, at 3:30, here he came. It was one of those deals where I had hoped he would walk the inside corner to cut across, but the doe didn't. She just went blundering right through the middle of the food plot. I don't think she was one of our resident does. She was from across the road on another piece of property. As he went across there, you know, I stayed calm, but I knew I was gonna have a really, really, really long shot.
It's 81 yards.
And I just had to get myself mentally prepared for it. Deer comes up. In my opinion, he was as close as he was gonna ever be.
He walks out in the food plot and I'm just, holy crap, this is actually gonna work.
I hit him. He was 63 yards with a rangefinder, and I knew I had to take that shot. I've got my pin set. The last pin is good for that. I shoot that shot all summer long so that if I ever encounter a deer at that distance and I want to shoot him, I'm comfortable at it.
And in my opinion, he was gonna leave, and that was the only chance we was gonna have at him. So Eric was gonna take a long shot, and my fingers were crossed.
Pulled back, settled in, and let her eat.
Yeah. Got him.
And at first, when you hear it, you think, you know, Jason's like, man, you were low, but I think you're good. And, you know, you watch deer run off, you can obviously tell. But upon further review, I actually literally cut the bottom of his brisket and just clipped the left side of his offside leg. And I say all that to say this, I blew it. And the reason why I blew it was as soon as I shot, you know, I try to always watch that arrow go through my pin and I drop my bow.
And bow hunting is such a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, I don't know.
As you get older, I found myself, and I guess everybody does it, you're starting to think more about scenarios that could have happened. I mean, we've always sat in a tree and thought, okay, if he comes from here, where am I going to shoot him? What am I going to do? Where am I going to stop him? And it seems like the older we get, I'm having to think about that more and more and more, and I'm having to concentrate more. Now, I've missed a lot of deer. I've made some bad shots over the years, but it just seems like I'm having to put more focus and energy into each scenario more than I used to have to.
60-some yards is a long shot with a bow. We practice it all the time, all year long. I know Eric's fully capable of making the shot, and it was the right decision because that deer was leaving our farm, and it was probably the last chance we would ever get at him.
The deer literally just got a scrape. You know, he went back, I'm sure, across wherever he came from. Never seen him, never got a picture of him. Henceforward, we have named that deer Slim Shady. Maybe we'll see him again sometime. We need you to support us, guys. So go over, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And every time we post something, you're gonna get that little bell going off and you're gonna know instantly that you can go over and watch it and catch what's going on.
Eric is struggling. I don't know that I've ever seen him struggle this much with a bow in his hand. At the end of the day, we're like family. We may cuss, we may fight, but we're gonna stick together and we're gonna get the job done. Eric's shot over, shot under, or missed. So no matter how bad he's struggling, I'm still gonna sit behind the camera as long as it takes, and we're not leaving Kansas without a giant whitetail for him.
There's literally like 7 mature bucks here that I would, at this point, I'm ready to shoot. So if one of them will kindly walk by in my lap, I will ease him of his pain and he can ease me of my pain. Got Jay Wow behind the camera, so I know he won't mess up.
I've told Eric that we need to grind on the cedar hump. We need to grind on that one spot until we get a deer killed. That's where we're going next. And hopefully Eric's luck's gonna change.
November the 13th, and last year I killed a buck on the 13th. The year before that, Jason killed that giant fish hook on the 13th. And I say that to say this, if you don't kill your mature deer by 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, in my opinion, the mental anguish that you're gonna go through to try and kill a mature deer, I mean, you better be ready, because I hate, personally, a lot of guys don't, I hate hunting lockdown, because you've got to sit for hours and days waiting for them to come off the does. Now here's what's happened. In the last 5 to 6 days, they have been locked tight. None of our big deer have been moving. But this morning we've had 2 different 3-year-olds come cruising through, and they finally are, I think, are breaking loose.
We're getting down to the wire here. We got another west wind. It's cold. We're going back to the cedar hump.
We've seen a few deer this morning, and I look up and see a deer kind of working a row bed, a scrape line, and he's going from one thicket to the next. And I told Eric, I said, I see a big deer. I don't know what deer it is, but it's a big deer.
Kind of a little bit slower morning. Deer were moving, and Jason was watching. You know, that's a cool thing about having two of us. We watch opposite directions, and Jason was watching. And he said, man, there's a big deer down here. And sure enough, it's a big 10 point that we had pictures of. Score-wise, probably the next biggest deer we had. And Jason's like, man, he's down there, you know, working a thicket. And I called to that deer.
Eric snort wheezed. The deer turns, starts walking straight to us.
If you'll come up here. Dang it, don't go that trail.
Maybe God felt sorry for me because he laid an absolute slammer right in my lap.
Go ahead, subscribe to our channel, like it. You're going to get that little notification bell. It's going to go off, let you know when something new hits. Follow, subscribe. Happy hunting this fall. We love everybody. Thank you again.
Eric snort wheezed, the deer turns, starts walking straight to us. I know that deer has just committed to walk on the last trail he'll ever walk.
There's no doubt in this one. Maybe God felt sorry for me because he laid an absolute slammer right in my lap.
Yeah. Smoked him. Bam! Finally. Give me some, Jason Bauer. I just smoked that dude, man.
You know, even I can't mess that shot up. And, you know, awesome feeling. I literally had a freight train on my shoulders over the calamity of errors that I'd made. And I tell you what, there was no better feeling. I finally got myself a really, really good buck in the fall.
Yeah. If you never fell in mud in the Midwest, like there was no going doing nothing, I just had to go.
Oh, the only thing I regret is not having it recorded when you busted your ass.
Man, I just want to see my deer. He's laying right there dead. If we can get to him. Ah, freaking mud. It's a pretty deer.
That's a big deer.
Yes, sir. Ooh. That's a tank right there, son.
This wraps up Kansas for this year, and I am in the driver's seat next year. It's my turn to go, and I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. This year, I'm not gonna get gar holed. I'm gonna hunt where I wanna hunt. I'm gonna kill the biggest deer on the farm. I'm tired of Eric and Jason doing it every year, and I'm not shooting the first deer that walks by. I'm just not gonna do it.
You know, words can't say enough. All fall long as deer hunters, we all wait for that magical time of year, the rut. And you know, this year, this rut has been incredible. I have seen more things that I've wanted to see from Iowa to here than I have seen in probably 10 years of deer hunting. You know, and we battled a giant here and just didn't get it done, but this was our next best deer on the hit list. And man, we've been grinding. It's been locked down the last 5 or 6 days, and it comes to that time when you literally mentally got to sit down with yourself and say, okay, we got to grind. And we may not see 5 deer a day, but you hope either a hot doe drags him by or he breaks loose and they start cruising again. That's exactly what happened. Snort wheezed him into 10 yards, and I am one happy bow hunter here in Kansas today. Couldn't be any more blessed. I love coming out here. Big shout out to the Kansas DNR for allowing non-residents to come out here and deer hunt. We're managers too. We love to come here, and you know, this is a product of letting the right deer go. And I couldn't be any happier. And like I always say, I'm gonna come right back here next year, hopefully do it all over again. What a deer, man. He is gorgeous.
No matter how hard it is, we didn't give up. You know, we stayed in it, we stayed strong, and Eric just killed an absolute giant whitetail. It's paid off, and we're going home with 2 Kansas Giants in the back of the truck.
Been a hard grind. I mean, at times I was just like, man, I was ready to shoot. You get frustrated and just want to stop. But you got to remember, man, finish the game. No matter what you do in life, just finish the game.
If you're not confident, if you lose that confidence, you're not going to be able to make those shots. Hey, you just got to jump right back on the horse. So what you got to do, you got to get that confidence back. You know, that's the name of the game. If you're not comfortable with what you're doing, you're not going to succeed in anything. And Eric jumped back on the horse, made the shot, got a great buck.
If there's anything I'm never going to forget, it's just what my dad always told me back when I was little. You know, finish the game. If you start something, you finish the game. If you lose, but you finish that game. And this time, you know, I ended up winning.
I can't wait to come back next year, Lord willing, and do it all over again.